What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner. Today I'm going to be doing kind of like a dual purpose help video. Focuses to get currency, what it is that I'm doing, and then also some helps for the build, like what it is that you actually need as far as goals for the Toxic Rain to be able to do endgame content. I'm in endgame content. I've got well, like I've got four Atlas stones on this one, but I'm kind of just pushing my Atlas. And since this is kind of going to be like a total like helper video, there's going to be a little bit of stuff thrown in here about the build. Until I'll probably take a couple days, and then I'll do like an actual like first guide for the build because I don't even have all my links set up. I'm still just um, kind of kind of pushing. So I want to give at least the goal for all the links in my first video, but I'll put the important stuff into the video as far as this. But the advice is pretty much what I gave in the pre-league launch. So we're mostly going to focus on advancing. I'm going to tell you this: I've tested Heist. I have not gotten really into it. The reason why is because, first of all, I know what I can earn currency on, and I'm going to focus on that because this league, I really want to get a good start so I can create more content this league. The thing is if I do like I did last league and I focus a lot on the league mechanic and I don't make a bunch, which last league it was kind of like kind of worked out good because all the crafts I was doing I could make content for, but at the same time I didn't make very much because I couldn't sell my crafts, so I wouldn't be able to use those for the video. The thing is the heist is kind of like an unknown as far as currency generation. In order for me to do guides and stuff like that, I have to do that. And what I am doing is what most of the players are going to want to be doing, which is making currency and getting your build going. The other reason why I'm doing this approach first and why you might want to consider focusing on doing what it is that I'm doing is because it's going to make heist more profitable for you. Why is that? Because if you get a strong build and you're able to do all the end game content, all of that time that you're putting into heist is going to be more rewarding for you. Why is that? Because the heist mechanic, you lose your rewards if you fail the heist, which I have done some of the heist, and there were a couple that I failed. And it's kind of just a bummer to, be getting your currency. And I was doing this like I haven't played them in like the last 24 hours, so like a little bit over a third of the time because we're less than 3 days out from when I launched. When I'm making this, so and actually this is kind of like the beginning of my third session, so like half my time I haven't even touched the mechanic. The first day I tried it out a little bit. Anyways, the whole idea for myself is this: I know that I can advance my build. I know I can make currency doing certain things that are the most profitable right now, like ignoring heist. I don't know how profitable heist is because I haven't played it enough, and I'm not at a high level, which is where it's obviously going to be the most rewarding. Because like if you think about any league mechanic, pretty much, as you get into the end game content, it becomes more rewarding, which is going to be the same thing with this. So my idea is to rush through something that's going to definitely make me currency and advance my build, and then jump into heist once I'm already at this place. My build's already really strong, where I have the highest chance to efficiently complete content on the heist and actually complete it and get my rewards. So that's kind of my thinking for my league start so far. I kind of went over this stuff, like what it was that I was going to be doing. Now that I'm at a place where like I have all of my stones on some, so I'm doing those top tier 14, 15, 16 maps. I'm mostly right now playing in like the 12, 13, 12, 13, 14 range maps because that's kind of where my Atlas advance is starting to get to, is three sockets. So I'm trying to mainly play on three socket or at least two socket maps, which is in that range, the 12, 13, 14. So at this point, the big thing that I'm going to reiterate is using Fortune Favors the Brave. As soon as you get to red maps and you have a little bit of chaos, I would suggest starting to do this. There's a bunch of reasons. The main reason is this: you have chances to get Delirium, you have chances to get Blight. Even once we get into the later game, those are two really expensive things. On our Atlas, we have one, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7 possibilities. So 2 out of 7 times we're going to wind up hitting that. So if you break down the cost of these, with as high as Delirium is going to be 16 chaos, and as high as Blight is going to be 8 chaos, if we hit 2 out of 7, like, which that's going to be the average if we're constantly pumping it, just the value of these two alone winds up being 24 chaos, which 7 times 24, 7 times 3 is 21. So just the hits on these basically are going to cover all of the well, more than cover all of the cost that it would cost to use this stuff. So we're basically like, it's a guaranteed win-win situation. And from my experience of actually doing this and having played this, I started pumping the Fortune Favors the Brave yesterday. It is consistently giving me blight encounters, and also we have other good things like Nemesis. Abyss isn't bad. It winds up being, it's the only one that costs more than, there's nothing really bad on this, so they're all going to be adding value to the map. And the thing is it is much more rewarding. You're going to have more chances to get map drops, which is going to give you a better chance of not getting stuck. I 100% like start pumping this, and honestly, like, until I get to like a really late place, which, unlocking Delirium, you have to have a lot of completion for that. So I'm probably just going to be pumping Fortune Favors the Brave at least until I get to Blight. Depending on how early I hit the Blight, I might start wind up doing only Blight, just because Blight maps early are so profitable. The thing is doing this Fortune Favors the Brave, I am getting a good amount of blight maps. I've been running most of them because obviously they give a nice boost to currency. If you don't like it, they're still actually selling for quite a bit of currency, um, because they are really profitable early game. Let's go ahead and see where they're at right now. And I'm specifically talking about once we get to the red maps, because obviously they're going to be more profitable. But here, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So obviously all of these all of the top maps are, blight maps. And even going into like yellow maps, you're talking about like what, like 15 to 20 chaos even for the yellows. So you're talking about the cheapest red maps are 25 chaos. That literally, if you get one blight map, that's basically paid for eight of those, and that's on the lowest tiers. I mean, obviously if you hit one of these, that's paying for, this is paying for 14 14, the best case scenario, that's 14 pays. Or you could run it and get currency that way, because obviously oils are still valuable at this point. um, yeah, so this is definitely something that you want to be pumping. And that clearly shows the reason why, just from that. And obviously, delirium orbs, I guess we can bring this back up. Trying to get delirium orbs early. Delirium orbs are going to have a lot of value. Um, Even the smallest ones, are a good chip, and I don't think a lot of people are buying these yet. But they're going to be. So definitely, I'm going to recommend Fortune Favors the Brave. It just adds so much to the map. The only note to that would be, make sure that you're only doing it if you can actually complete, blights for that tier, um, deliriums for that tier. The delirium, when it throws in, sometimes it can be a hit or a miss, because the main thing that you should be focusing on is your Atlas completion, just getting as much Atlas completion done as possible. The reason why is because we want to get this completion bonus as high as possible. We also want to get as many of our stones as quickly as possible. Some little tricks that we can use to do that. First of all, we always want to be checking Xana. See if she has anything that's not complete. So this right here, all right, it's a tier 2 map, but because I don't have it completed, I'm going to go ahead and buy that, because that's going to give me one more completion, which is going to increase my chances of maps dropping, because 70% chance for maps to drop one tier higher, each bonus, and then once we get it to a certain point, it gives us the chance to get another one higher. So we want to be We want to be getting that up as quickly as possible. As soon as you have a map that is uncompleted, you are going to want to run that and get it done. Even if like right now, I've got a couple red maps I'm about to run. I'm, collecting up a few blight maps and then I'm gonna start running those, but I just got a map that has no completion on it. I'm going to immediately complete this, and the reason why is because it's going to make it so that my chances to get more red maps in the higher tier maps that I don't have that many of right now because I'm trying to push, and get my stockpile up. I want the best chance of getting more maps on every single run. If you don't do this, if you don't work for completion, you're going to wind up in a situation where you're like, I don't have any top tier maps. I'm stuck. I have to buy maps. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it's just a lot of just like struggles and unnecessary, just sucky stuff that's going on. The other thing is using our Xanas. Xanas are something that you want to use smartly to progress your Atlas. I say this every single league. This instance right here, I have a white, I have a yellow, I have a red. The way that you want to use these is you want to use these on the highest tier. When I was pushing to advance, I would only use um, my white tier Xana on tier 5 map, and the reason why is because when I do a tier 5 map with the Xana, she opens a portal to tier 5 and tier 6 maps. I select a tier 6 map, and that's going to take me in there. The other awesome thing about Xana is she gives us a chance to get maps that we haven't completed. So there's two things that we can look for with Xana. Actually, there's three things. The first one is getting a higher tier map to get us a chance to, because if we open a tier 5, we have chances for drop for tier 5s and tier 6s. If then we use a Xana, she opens us a tier 6, which that tier 6 then can drop tier 6, tier 7, so that gives us a way to push our map level. The other thing that it does is it gives us, like I said, a chance for completion. The other thing on top of this is if you're trying to get your final ascendancy, Xana, one of her objectives can be like her objective is to complete the ascendancy trial. This is a good way if you're looking to complete those ascendancy trials for your your final one. Um, that's a good way to boost your chances because obviously there's only 6 of them. If you're looking for those maps specifically, then that's increasing the chance that you're going to run into that ascendancy trial. So that is, or if you have none of them, it's going to boost your chances. Well, it's going to guarantee you get at least one of them. So that is what we should be doing as far as advancing our Atlas, playing with Xana. The other thing is once we start getting into this, then we're going to start working towards the awakening bonuses, which are going to increase our rewards. It is really important for us to get this awakening level up, to get our completion level up, because eventually, for myself, I'm going to be pushing to be working on the blights and then working on delirium farming because I know that that's good currency for me, and this is going to be how I'm going to fuel some early game currency. Well, everyone needs everything. Well, everything's at its most valuable. This is what I'm going to do to stack myself up some currency. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people playing in heist. Once again, the issue that I see with that is if people are jumping right into heist and they're only doing heist or they're spending a lot of time in heist at these low levels, they're going to be struggling. And the rewards aren't going to be that great because, like, let's say you're doing level 70, level 80 um, heists or like lower than 70. Like, the rewards that are going to be dropping are not going to be that good. And the thing is you're possibly not even getting the rewards, you're not getting good XP, and you're not advancing your Atlas, so you're kind of going to put yourself into like a pigeonhole. Maybe you'll get really lucky in the heist, but you could get really lucky just mapping. So I think that this is what is going to be really good for you to be focusing on early until you get your build really strong. Also, you're going to wind up stocking up a lot of the stuff to be doing this. As you can see, I have a lot of these contracts, I have a lot of these rogue markers. So when I do want to farm host, my build is going to be strong, and my stockpile of stuff to play with the mechanic is going to be stocked up, and I'm going to have the best chance of completing this stuff because I'm going to be I'm going to be way stronger. The one thing that you do are going to have to wind up completing are these ones. I've done, this is the main thing that I've done is completing these contract things because we wind up with these contract things and we can't put them into here. So they wind up taking space. These are something that I wind up completing just because they take up a lot of space in my inventory, which slows down the efficiency of my farming because obviously like that's 5 slots and I'm trying to run maps fast and get completion and having more of my space encumbered um, is just diminishing my efficiency. So that is my help for that. My help for the build guide. I'm not going to do a build guide right now. What I am going to do is I'm just going to tell you exactly what it is that I'm doing. I went for the porcupine, just like I said in my pregame advice. I got my six link, this was a very good choice. The reason why is because I've been trying to six socket this. I haven't even gotten a chance to try to six link. I haven't gotten enough currency to buy a six link, so I would have been basically just like screwed at this point. I would not be in red maps. I would just be like completely screwed. Um, I wound up getting enough currency early to just buy the cards that I needed, so I was able to get it actually like really quickly. But I think you can get them for like I don't know between like 15 to 30 C, which being able to get a six link 15 to 30 C early is really good. I wound up just using some alterations. Well, I used a transmutation and then rolled with the alterations I had until I got the +1 to socketed gems, which is the one that affects all of the gems. As you can see, I have plus 1 in all of these. The next thing that I did is I bought myself a level 1 in power. It was only like 5 chaos or 6 chaos, something like that. And I started leveling that. In the meantime, because I rolled my sockets right, I use the damage on full life because you are obviously going to want a red socket on there and you're going to be wanting to level all your gems until I got this to level 2 and it gave me a +1, which right now this level 19 full damage on full life support actually does more effective damage because as you can see right here I'm at 27 160 for the dot and this is at 32 915. That makes sense because this is only giving me a +1 and then this is giving me a +1. And once I multi-mod this is going to win by a lot because this will wind up giving me +6 at a level 3 to the level of my toxic rain, which in my first video I showed you guys how that works. The thing is this is nice when you're at full life, but if you take a hit then that damage goes away. So I went ahead and switched this in once it reached level 2 and was giving me a +1. So that's probably what I would suggest. It gives you more consistent damage, and there's a lot of maps where you have like AoEs on the ground, and this winds up not really doing much for us. The links I'm using: Toxic Rain, Empower, Concentrated Effect, Vicious Projectile, Swift Affliction, and Void Manipulation. I would not suggest Concentrated Effect until you have a lot of AoE. Otherwise, your arrows, because it does give you the -30. You can see my AoEs are still really big, but that's because I am using the Ascendancy. I took Nature's Reprisal first. I totally said this wrong in the first video. You do want to go for Master Toxician because it increases chaos damage by 10% more damage. So we do want this. You're going to want this, and then I'm going to be going for this. So that will be what my final Ascendancy looks like. Sorry, I was kind of like confused in the video. It was kind of a long video, and I didn't want to reshoot it. But this is a little update. I did wind up taking this because I like just completely overlooked that it did 10% more chaos damage, which um, was the reason why I had it on the other build, but I just saw the poison and the virulence, which we're not going to be using in this build. So I wanted to correct that. Sometimes I make mistakes. I'm only human. So that is my fix to that. The other thing that I wanted to clarify, I do watch my videos. So a lot of people are going for increased skill effect duration. The thing that I want to comment on this is skill effect duration does not actually increase your damage. What it does do, it doesn't increase or decrease your damage. It increases your potential damage, which can be and is useful to increase your damage if you're stacking damage on something. What does this mean? So we have a base duration on our jewel. So where does it say it? Okay, so one second to base duration. So I have a base duration of 1.224 seconds. So that means after I fire a volley of arrows, the damage that is applied, and this is specifically just for the dot, not the explosion, not the initial hit, the damage will be done for 1.24 seconds. Adding skill effect duration does not increase that at all. It doesn't decrease that at all. What it does do is say the amount of time of me constantly firing on an enemy takes more than 1.24 seconds for it to die. Then having skill effect duration will increase the the damage the the damage that it's doing because more stacks will be able to pile up on it. The thing is like I'm not focusing on skill effect duration early. I haven't even multi-modded my bow. I only have a +1 6 link, and as you can see, like the initial hits on this stuff is just basically instantly killing it, and this is not with like any like crazy good gear. So to focus on skill effect duration early for me is not going to be really going to be that effective for me. Maybe on this dude, he seems a little tanky. Okay, well, I didn't want to turn this into a video guide, so I just kind of wanted to show you. Obviously, those are all taking less than 1.2 seconds to die, so and you know, a lot of them I'm not constantly firing. I fire 2.5, 2.97 attacks per second. So almost 3 attacks per second. So if I was just standing still firing, um, 3 attacks per second. I'm getting close to like 4 attacks on an enemy before the first, like on my fourth attack, basically the first attack is going away. So obviously, you know, I could add skill effect duration, which would increase that by having another potential stack that could be on there all at the same time if I was consistently shooting on an enemy. So that's kind of the explanation that I wanted to give on that because I don't think I was very clear. I was kind of demonstrating on a build that goes through hit applications. It's more focused on the poison damage, which I kind of tried to explain it, but I understand the skill is really confusing, and the explanation on the two different builds can make it even more confusing because the thing is on the poison type builds you want those secondary hits because when the spores explode they apply a hit. Every spore applies a hit. So having a skill effect duration would increase the amount of time it takes for those pods to explode and they cause that hit. Increasing skill effect duration on something like this can increase the damage the way that I just explained it. But if you're focusing on hit, like applications of poison, it becomes very counterproductive because it doesn't increase the damage that you're doing, and it takes a longer time for those pods to explode and hit the enemies, giving another stack of poison, which the stacks of poison in that build for me were actually more damage than my dot. So that is the clarification that I think I needed to put in there. I hope that this helps you all decide how it is that you want to make your build. The thing that I will say is that's a tier 13 map. You obviously saw how easily the build is handling stuff the way that I have it set up. Someone else was telling me that POB was showing that my build was like super low DPS. Maybe POB isn't working correctly because it was saying that that just using like a lot of skill effect duration was saying that it had a lot higher damage. I don't know if that was calculating like potential damage or what it was calculating, but he was saying that he was having to stand still and shoot a lot on enemies, which obviously shows me that that's obviously not what it is that I want to wind up building. The Quill Rain is a pretty good option because it only costs about 1 chaos, I think. But then, like I said, you don't have a 6th link. That is the reason why I suggest going for this. And the thing is
Hello.
100% once I multi-mod this, this is absolutely going to destroy a Quill Rain. Which the thing is the amount of currency it might take to get your 6th link, or just buy a 6th link. That's a lot of currency that you could be investing in other things. Like my entire build right now costs like less than an Exalt. So that is why I'm saying I would probably suggest just doing what it is that I'm doing. You can look at my ascendancy tree. My account name is BigPowner, the number one. Not like actually the number one, like not the sentence, the number one. Um, so yeah, you can just look up at that and you can see how I've done my tree. This is with no no cluster jewels. The direction that I'm going to wind up taking this from here is I'm going to be grabbing these two things here. Eventually, if you do want the skill effect duration, you would have to chop off some other stuff. You could wind up doing that. You could come up to here if you do want that skill effect duration and grab some nice skill effect duration here. If you do that, I would suggest probably coming over here and grabbing this 20 to max life, 14% increase max life. But this is an early game setup that's going to work really well. I will wind up changing it once I'm able to get cluster jewels because the cluster jewels just offer way too much other stuff that's going to just make the build way more powerful than we could make with just the ascendancy tree. As far as mana, mana has been an issue that a few people have said, so I'm going to suggest Mind Drinker. That's what I'm using. The only thing that I have to say on that is some of the really tanky bosses, because I am already volleying maps. Sometimes you get really tanky bosses. What I'm doing on those is I am keeping the Divine Mana Flask. The Divine Mana Flask is going to be a really big advantage because you're going to need to pop some mana sometimes. um, so yeah, I think that's all the advice as far as the build. Besides one other thing, so cheap options, like cheap market buys right now for the build. Obviously, you're going to want the Carcass Jack. You're going to want to use the Porcupine to get yourself a 6-link bow, or just buy a 6-link bow. Um, there's also a few other things. So the Sarjani's hood, this is a really good option early. It's like 1 chaos. You get 10% increased attack speed, which is going to increase your damage because it's going to make you get off more shots per second, which means more stacks that you're going to be able to apply of your chaos damage dot. So this is good. It also goes up to 100 life. 80 to 100 life. Gives you some other stuff that's not really that great for you, but it is it is a very 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 strong option early for I think like 1 chaos or less on the market. So that gives you another really cheap option to hop into. As far as everything else, I don't have anything that's really that good. Most of my gear is like this was pretty good. I got this as a drop because it's got some area of effect, but it's literally got like several stats that aren't doing anything for me, and I like crafted on percent of physical damage as life, which doesn't really help me. I think actually more mana would help me more. My bow, I mean honestly, like all this gear, basically all of my other slots, all they are is like try to get attack speed on your gloves, but it's basically like get life and get your resistances right. Um, as you can see on here, stun and block recovery, reflect damage to melee attackers, energy shield, like literally the only things on here were the max life and the 30% fire resistance, and I was able to craft on another resistance. Same thing with my helm. um, I honestly, the only reason why I'm not using Sarjani's is because this one gives me slots for resistances, which I needed resistances, which resistances over damage because I obviously have enough damage. Same thing here. Basically life and resistances. Like my gear is really not good, and this is gear that you can take all the way to the end game. So very very cheap build, and now you have an ascendancy that will make it so that you can do this too. So for like I think this is like 30 or 40 chaos, probably 20, 30 chaos. I don't know what the exact price is. I think some were selling yesterday for like 15 chaos. Let's say the high end 30. So that's 70 chaos plus one for the helm. 71 chaos, and then find yourself some resistances. Find resistances and HP. Oh, and the Witchfire Brew. I think this I bought a nice one for 24, so that would actually make it 95 chaos. Because I bought kind of like a medium nice one. I didn't buy the cheapest one. But I didn't buy like I don't even think there was a perfect one, but I bought kind of like a middle of the road one. um. So, anyways, I hope that this video is helpful as far as your early game progression. I wanted to give out those tips. These are basically just the biggest questions that I've had asked so far, as far as like, what are you doing? How do I make currency? What should I do with my build? If you guys have questions, please do go ahead and leave those so I can do another update to give you guys help. That's what I'd like to try to do early game, is try to help people, which is kind of what I try to do all the time. But specifically early game, I feel like people have the most struggles because there's at least stuff in the economy. Um, a lot of people have just gotten, like hypothetical ideas. So this is the stuff that's actually working to advance. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a blessed day. Peace.